Joining me now is Iowa State Attorney General Brenna Bird for more details on this. General Bird, thank you for being here. Just to be clear, by the way, for folks who have been following this story, we have known about this organization. It's known by its acronym UNRWA for a long time and their cozy relationship with Hamas. That's why President Trump, one of the first things he did was to completely end their funding, took it down to zero from over $1 billion. And one of the first things that President Biden did when taking office was refunding it all over again. So we knew that they were cozy with Hamas. Finally, the truth is revealed, but at a terrible cost.
Well, it is absolutely terrible, and it's basically a U.S. taxpayer-funded welfare program for terrorists. And we see what happened on October 7th, and that should never happen. President Trump was right when he cut them off completely, and then Biden restarted giving them money on day one. I think $1 billion has gone to them, and it's funded things that are absolutely terrible, the terrorism against Israel. It is endemic throughout UNRWA. We even found the command center under the UNRWA headquarters, a command center, data center, bought and paid for, I think, with our taxpayer dollars. We're funding them, and that is absolutely wrong, and it has to stop.
Now, the question a lot of people would ask at this point is, why are you doing it? That is, isn't this a federal issue? President Biden, as we know, turned on the funding. President Trump had the authority to turn it off. Why are state attorneys general getting involved in this rather than just the feds?
Well, I stand with Israel against terrorism, and it is illegal to provide material support to terrorists. And that certainly looks like what UNRWA has been up to, and they're doing it with our money.
I see. So this is actually a lawsuit that involves the people of your state. You're representing the people of your state and the money that they are spending for this organization.
Well, we're standing up for the rule of law, and somebody has to, because the Biden administration is completely broken. It's very disturbing that they restarted that funding, even though I think they knew there were problems.
Now, General Bird, I got to say, this is one organization, probably the most egregious, but there are several other organizations. I live in New York City. I have for 40 years. I know a lot about the United Nations. They have a lot of organizations that do things with money that we spend a lot of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we spend over 20% of the entire UN budget, the United States government does. But I would say pretty much from top to bottom, you can find examples of corruption there, let alone some of the egregious examples of working with Hamas and other things. Why are we still funding the UN at all to such an extent?
Well, that's a good question. I think that's something that needs to be looked into. It's one thing to have bad things happening in the world that we live in. It's another thing to have the U.S. taxpayer being the one footing the bill. And that's why what happened with UNRWA and Hamas is so disturbing. You know, I think we have found that about 10% of the UNRWA employees were affiliated with jihadists or Hamas groups and were actively engaged in that. So we have to shine the light, and we have to stop that funding.
But can it happen without a president that's sympathetic to your cause?
Well, I think we need President Trump back, because he certainly made us safer in the world. He understood that we don't give our money to terrorists. That wasn't a problem. But I think President Biden needs to do the right thing. And certainly Congress has been paying attention as well. We need it to be investigated. We need to figure out who knew what and get to the bottom of this.
Attorney General Brenna Bird from the great state of Iowa, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you coming in.